Muhammad's wife Hafsah once caught him in her bed with another woman, his slave girl, Mary the Copt. He wanted to avoid conflict, so he promised that he would stop having sex with Mary. But later he received a revelation telling him not to. So he takes a vow that he's not going to have sex with his slave girl anymore. He makes a vow, he promises Hafsah and Aisha that he's not going to do this anymore. And then a revelation of the Qur'an comes, chapter 66, verses 1 through 2. O Prophet, why do you forbid yourself that which Allah hath made lawful for you? You seek to please your wives, and Allah is forgiving, merciful. Allah indeed has sanctioned for you the expiation of your oaths, and Allah is your protector, and He is the knowing wise. So Muhammad receives the revelation, and the revelation tells him it's okay to break his oath to his wives about not having sex anymore with his slave girl. Now, at this point, it just becomes very difficult to accept what Muhammad is saying about someone who came 6 centuries earlier. I might believe Muhammad if he's talking about what's happening during his time or something like that. But when he's talking about 6 centuries earlier, it becomes very difficult to take him seriously as getting revelations from God.
So too with the story of Hafsah and the slave girl. The interpretation that David referred to is only one, and that is mentioned in Ibn Sa'd's book. But there are other interpretations that are mentioned in other sources. For example, that the Prophet, peace be upon him, was eating a foul-smelling honey, or at least that some of the wives didn't like, and he pledged to be aloof from that. And God is saying, why do you make yourself aloof from something that God has basically made permissible for you? Whatever the interpretation, it shows that there are different ways of looking at this, and David is looking at it only one way, and being critical of Islam on that basis.
And Shabir said that Hafsah and the story of Hafsah and Aisha and the slave girl Mary the Copt is only one of the various explanations of chapter 66, verses 1 through 2 of the Quran. That's true, but here I would apply the principle of embarrassment. If you have another story about Muhammad eating honey or something like that, and then you have a more embarrassing story about Muhammad making an oath to his wives, I promise I will not have sex with this girl anymore, and then getting a revelation, the principle of embarrassment would say the one that would kind of be more embarrassing is probably the one that wasn't invented. And if there's another story, and by the way, there's no impossibility of the Quranic revelation relating to both stories. But if we had to pick one, if we think only one can be true, you would generally go with the one that probably wouldn't be invented. The other one would probably be a watered-down alternative to explain away the meaning of this verse that wouldn't be as embarrassing.
The criterion of embarrassment is not a foolproof criterion. Even in Christianity, scholars discuss this.